The crossbow is silent, a one-hit kill to the head, relatively cheap, and the only gun in the game with the ability to make your enemies bleed out over time. The only thing stopping the crossbow from being the most effective gun in the game is its limited ammunition, but even that's a pretty minor quibble. The crossbow is a weapon that will have your enemies retreating and scrambling for help if you know just the right way to use it. Let's first get damage out of the way. Body shots do seemingly about 55 damage, or a little more than half health. What happens then, and the reason why it's tough to tell how much exactly an initial shot deals, is the damaged player begins bleeding out at a rate of about 4 damage per second. And I mean about, I can't tell exactly, but it seems to be about 4 damage per second. In other words, exactly 11 seconds after being initially struck by the crossbow, you're dead. If you have armor on, you'll take only about 10 damage, which means that bleeding out would take between 20 and 25 seconds. A shot to the head is an instant kill unless you have armor on, in which case it does nearly 70 damage. At that point, it would take about 7 seconds to bleed out. Another nuance of this gun is that when you're bleeding out and then you heal, you only restore 70 health, which means that even after healing, your enemies will be a fair bit easier to kill. An important distinction to make between the crossbow and the bow and arrow is that with the crossbow, you can't use arrows lodged in the environment that either you or an enemy has shot. This means that ammo consumption can be quick, especially given how easy it can be to miss your shots thanks to the arrow's travel time. Enemies with armor take very little damage and a second shot won't be enough to down them. This means that killing enemies from a distance can be quite a gamble. If you're too far away, or you don't have a team member with a line of sight who can deliver the killing blow, enemies can pretty easily climb behind cover and heal before you can finish them. If you're shooting at a long range, do your best to get headshots or else you're really just wasting your ammo. This is why you're best off using this gun at medium range, so that while they're bleeding out you can rush them and kill them as they scramble to heal themselves. Or alternatively, you could use this gun purely as a means of making the enemy flee the scene. The latter seems like a pretty expensive way of trying to make your enemies run away though, so I don't necessarily recommend going that route. Now interestingly, the bow and the crossbow cost the same number of loadout points to equip. The main advantage to the crossbow is that there's no arc to your shots and you don't have to wait for your character to pull back the string for it to shoot further. And of course there's the bleed effect, and in addition an enemy who's bleeding out glows so that you can track their movement as they scramble to heal themselves. Even enemies with covert training 3 on, which means they can't be marked, they will glow through walls if you shoot them with the crossbow. It does cost a lot more parts to use however, and ammo is far more precious, making it a pretty even trade-off between the two guns. If you're a bow user and you're considering replacing it with the crossbow, I don't recommend that because of the ammo shortage. If you try to use it at the same frequency that you do the regular bow and arrow, you will pretty quickly find yourself in a tight spot.
Appreciate it. Bomb's armed. Look alive. That's one down. Bomb's armed. Heads up. Bomb's armed. Heads up. Fire enough. Downed one. Watch my back.
The best way in my opinion to use the crossbow is not as a purchaseable. In other words, don't treat it as though it's a gun that can only be used in last case scenarios. Build a class with team support boosters like First Aid Training 2, Crafter 2, Reviver 2, or higher, and that'll earn you lots of parts, and then from there, purchase ammo for it whenever you can and use it often, but also use it with caution and care. This is what makes the revolver such a good fit with the crossbow. The revolver is already one of the best guns in the game and is effective all on its own, so until you're able to afford the crossbow, or should you run out of ammo for it, you're still capable of protecting yourself with the revolver, and still capable of being an effective member of the team thanks to your boosters. You'd think the crossbow would be the perfect fit for a stealth loadout, but I don't think it is actually. While it is a silent gun, there's rarely ever need for a gun that requires as much time and patience to use as the crossbow does while you're playing stealthily. I have trouble envisioning a scenario in my mind in which I'm playing stealthily and suddenly I realize that what I need is a crossbow. If anything, I think a silenced tactical shotgun or even a Spectre would be a better choice to equip. I think the crossbow is more of a team support gun thanks to the way it suppresses and disorientates your enemies. If you use it like that, it can be a great supplement to a pistol-only and team support class. That's all I've got to say on the crossbow. Thank you everybody for watching. Take a look at the recommended class setups I've given you here. Try them out. Tell me what you think in the comments below. And I will talk to you guys in the comments as always. Thank you for watching.